I too like grains and food and avoiding single-use plastics. But I am a landscape planner by trade. I am based at the Institute of Landscape Development, Recreation and Conservation Planning, where I work as a postdoc, usually in sustainable tourism, but also in choice modeling. And it is choice modeling that I will be talking to you about today in the name of my colleagues, both with the Upsurge project, and I see one in the room who is also here from the Institute. So when I think of my dream neighborhood, it doesn't look like this. It has narrow streets, tall trees, some flower beds perhaps. And there are a lot of European cities that are looking for ways to create these dream neighborhoods. They like to use nature-based solutions. And NBS are green or natural elements that are used to solve an issue, such as planting trees to give you shade on a hot day, or let's say like grassy meadows that can soak up water when it's been storming and raining. And we know that these solutions are very effective. It's been measured, it's been studied. But what we know a lot less about is what residents think of these, or what residents want these NBS to fulfill. This is coupled also with different cultural heritage and sort of planning traditions that we see in urban environments, which influences how urban fabric is designed and also what citizens long for in their neighborhoods. So we wanted to know if urban residents are willing to make trade-offs. They can't have all the benefits, so where do they want to really push the boundary for NBS? Are they willing to contribute? What are their needs and desires? For this, we have to make trade-offs, as I said, and this could be the functionality on the one hand for temperature reduction, but also aesthetic values, or can I use it? Can I garden? Can I recreate in it? And all of this embedded in maybe some of the negative factors. So how much will it cost? Where will it go? And we can see that there are a lot of different desires. So some people are very quick to say, I'll give up my parking spot if you plant me a tree there. Other people will say, as long as I don't have to participate, I will pay you to take care of it. And some people really just want to see more biodiversity or temperature reduction. So where do we find that balance between what people are looking for in their neighborhoods? We implemented a survey with a choice experiment in 6 European countries, from the UK over Central Europe down to Greece. And we were asking them, what trade-offs are you willing to make? But also, what's your neighborhood like? How close are your green areas? Are they high quality? How old are the buildings? And we found by asking these other questions as well that certain countries are exposed to different issues. So our Polish respondents were talking about air quality a lot. Our Hungarian respondents were talking about stormwater management. And most of the other countries, except the UK, were talking about rising temperatures and urban heat islands. We also saw that green spaces are not equally distributed in cities. So we have differences in neighborhoods and how you can have not just public green spaces, but where are your private green spaces? Do you have access to a garden or not? And we found that there were sort of 3 main points that I'm going to be talking about. The first is temperature reduction. As I said, we can see here, the UK hangs out in the middle. They don't really care about temperature reduction that much. But other countries that are more exposed to heat waves, this will be a really important factor for them. How much can my NBS reduce heat? This also depends on what your neighborhood structure is like. So looking at these pictures, I think we have a feeling of, where would I want to sit to enjoy a coffee? What am I going to avoid on a July afternoon? And these elements of the urban environment will also influence who's looking for what. We also have aspects of accessibility. So countries that have a very high car ownership and second car ownership levels, Greece, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom, really don't want you taking away their public parking spaces. They get very touchy if you try to change that. This also doesn't only have to do with car ownership, but we also found a connection to the distance to public transportation. So if you were very far away from public transportation and you only had your car, I don't want you taking that away from me too. It's my only option. So we saw some differences here as well in your mobility patterns. The last point that was especially interesting was participation. So these negative values show the absence. how angry am I if you take participation away? And we saw that especially Poland, Slovenia, and the UK really enjoyed participating. They wanted to take ownership. They wanted to be part of their neighborhood creation. And the other countries, it was interesting. They wanted it, but not to the same degree. Yeah. Oh, and this was also reflected in the place labs, which was very exciting to see, so that our national survey was being reflected in some of the case studies that were happening on the ground as well. We will also always have limitations, so not every case study that has worked in one city is transferable to a different city. It might be in the space that's available, planning regulations, just what type of plants you can use. So we have to also always get a tailored approach with every MBS. We can take the general idea, but not the exact implication. The same goes for what our residents want. Different neighborhoods have different requirements, and we have to be able to kind of think outside the box as planners and try to anticipate what the challenges for our communities are, not just the environmental challenges. In this research, we really tried to bridge science, policy, and practice together, also with our Upsurge partners, to really see what the issues were and what our residents need. And we found some very promising results. So we saw that people do recognize issues, but they're also very willing to contribute. If you give them an effective nature-based solution that will talk about the issues that they see, such as heat, they are willing to pay, they are willing to get engaged, and they will do so very happily, but it has to be very effective. We also know that there are pockets of our society who do not have the ability to contribute, and we also need to make sure to give them a voice at the table. So together with the planners, I think that we can all create nature-based solutions that will create the dream neighborhoods for all of us. Thank you.